But a couple of them was...
That's interesting. Very, very interesting. So I want to ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Behind this white paper wisdom podcast that you do, what is the inspiration behind it, and how did it all begin?
It's a very interesting story. I love to tell this story, but it's long, so
yeah, you should give it in like.
So I've been active on Instagram, active like really on Instagram for almost 10 years, more effectively about 2014, and that's because I realized that media is so powerful to amplify value. Okay, so media may not give you intrinsic value or inherent value, but it gives you amplified value and perceived value and multiplied value. So I've been faithful with that. But then just post pictures, and beginning of Instagram, you couldn't post videos or just pictures.
Yeah, it's only pictures. Yeah.
And after a while, you could post 15-second videos and 10-second videos.
Yeah, then 1 minute, and then now
so forth. So things grow as well. But after a while, I started posting out quotes because I love wisdom. And I also love articulating practical wisdom, because I think if you can articulate it better, it becomes portable. People can remember, run with it and all. So I would just design stuff. There was an app called Over, O-V-E-R. I would use that app to design some stuff. And then after a while, there were a couple of other apps. And then there was Canva. So I started using Canva maybe, 4 years ago or 5 years ago to do those quotes. Then after a while, I started using just black text on white.
Yeah.
And because I'm very dynamic and creative, I like to just see what's the next level. How do you evolve that? So I didn't know what the next level was going to be, but something happened. 2019, COVID year was 2020. So it was COVID year, 2020. My account, I couldn't log into my Instagram account. I tried everything I need to do, read their guidelines, their FAQs, send them messages, blah, blah. Couldn't do all of that. Then eventually they said, okay, for us to know that it's you, get a white sheet of paper. We're going to send you a code. Write the code on the white sheet of paper. Take a picture, and we're going to know that it's you, because that code is supposed to be sent privately to the owner, and then your face will match the picture in your account. Yeah. So I did that, but that's not when it occurred to me that I could use a different content format. About less than 2 months, I think maybe a month or 6 weeks after that, I was trying to do some updates on my SMS online account, bulk SMS account. And they said, okay, for you to do this kind of updates, you have to do exactly the same thing. Like, wait a minute. So whenever things happen around in patterns or repeatedly, I begin to muse and meditate. And sometimes I pray, God, what are you saying? What's going on? If I'm seeing something, maybe there's a message in it. I was like, okay, maybe this is the new content format I need to use. So I wrote the first white paper with ink.
What was this?
This was 2020.
2021.
Yeah. With ink.
Red ink?
No.
Black?
Blue.
Oh, blue.
Blue ink.
Oh.
Blue ink, but not Bala blue ink.
Oh my God.
My name was not Bala. It couldn't be Bala blue ink. Right. So I wrote with ink. So I wrote the first. People were quite excited about it. I think the second or the third day, somebody went, P-Dams, these wisdom quotes are too heavy for us to just use ink. We need it to be louder. Now, the person didn't tell me to use a marker, but I thought to myself, well, what's louder than ink? That has to be a marker. And I love red. I mean, you get that.
Yeah.
I love red. So I started using the red marker. Boom! And people were so excited about it, just literally blew up, went really far. And I mean, it's been over 2 years now. Done about 800 original, almost 800 original quotes, right, with the white paper. And then after a while, I think a year after I did the ebook, the white paper book, then about a year, maybe 6 months after that, a year after that, I did this, which is a compilation of not just the white paper quotes, but also like the backstory, the inspiration behind each post, and then the pictures and all of that. Then we started White Night, an event where you have music, spoken word, comedy, wordplay, food, and we've done that for 2 years now. Wow. And then I thought, okay, what's the next level? I'm always thinking, what's the next level of this thing? The Bible says, so the increase of the skin, there shall be no end. So with God, there's always another level. The path of the just shines bright and bright until the perfect day. So I said, people are now more conversation driven. So instead of just having the white paper, can I get people who have a history of wisdom, who are doing good work, who have some wit or warmth or wordplay ability. Boom, the podcast.
Wow.
And every one of the expressions have just entered into new spaces, new territories, new nations, and it's incredible.
Wow. Powerful. Powerful. So I have a question here. It says, what advice will you give someone that his background is not as sound as yours? Recalling you said that your upbringing has huge influence on who you are today.
Very good question. I love this question. Yeah. So I think it was Michelle Quilt that popularized this quote that no matter your background, your back does not need to be on the ground. Right. So regardless of your background, your back does not need to be on the ground, right? All of us have a background, and all of us have things about our background that maybe we sometimes wish we could change or improve or advance or erase. So it's not really about your background, it's about your foreground, right? It's about your foreground. It's about what are you looking at? Your past does not have to be your cast.
That's true.
Right. What does that mean? You know, the cast, like a bronze cast or something that keeps you enclosed. Your past does not have to be your cast, where it can become your broadcast. It can help your broadcast, right? What would I advise a person to do? So I had a solid background, but I've really worked on myself as well. I've invested a lot in training, in coaching, in reading. I study every day. Every day I'm either reading a book or watching a webinar or watching a message. I'm improving myself in two major areas: spiritual growth and personal development. The subset of personal development for me is also my gift development as well. So I've improved myself. So improve yourself. If you were not, and I say this with every kind of respect, with all due respect, if you feel you were not raised well, you can raise yourself different. If you feel you were not well grounded, you can find higher ground. Right?
Yeah.
And it's not just about throwing nuts on the ground, having ground nuts. But you can say I'm on the ground, but I'm not ground nuts. Even if I'm from the north.
Wisdom. Too much wisdom.
Right. But all of us can grow. All of us can grow. I can use the Bible. 12 disciples, 11 good ones, one bad apple. The one who exports the gospel to more regions is not physically with Jesus.
That's true.
He has an encounter with Jesus, and he engages that revelation so intimately and so in-depthly that others who were with Jesus had to learn from him.
I'm telling you.
So even in spiritual matters, overtaking is allowed.
That's right.
Right? Don't just undertake, overtake. Whatever you do, don't mistake.
Don't mistake.
Even if you're a miss, you want to take it, don't mistake.
Wisdom. I want to ask a question. What role? You know, some people say something like, "Oh, Bill Gates never went to school. He dropped out from school. I had a creative mind. Look at Mark Zuckerberg. He didn't go to school, but he's a billionaire." Question is education important when it comes to creativity and ideas? And also, if it's important, what is the role that education plays in creativity?
This is such an amazing question because people often take information and then they take it out of context.
That's true.
They mistake it. Right. So Bill Gates didn't go to school, but if you study, rather he went to school. He went to school, but dropped out.
Exactly.
He dropped out, I think, his second year or so.
Yeah.
But if you study his books and his writings, you're going to see Bill Gates says it very clearly that after he left school, he was studying for between 12 and 18 hours.
They didn't read that part.
They didn't read that part. For I think 3 to 5 days a week. Almost every day of the week.
Even more than people that go to
more than people that are in the university. So understand this. Even if you don't go to the university, university.
Say it again.
YOU, university. You must study what God has placed on the inside of you in the light of revelation and the light that you have, right? And in the light of those who have gone ahead of you. So now, a lot of people confuse academics with education.
Yeah.
Academics are not eternal.
Yes.
Right? But education is transcendental. What do I mean by that? Let me break it down. Academics, as we know it, is maybe 200-300 years old, as we know it. But there was education before academics. So things like internships, education, right? There's this Igbo culture. What do you call that thing that you learn under somebody?
Yes, where you learn under someone.
What's it called? there's a word for it, right? Where you have a master, you learn under the master for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
In Yoruba land, they will say freedom. This person got freedom. It's a kind of education, it's informal education.
Informal, yeah.
Well, let me just say more traditional education. So if you're going to be great at what you do, you may lack academics, but please don't lack education.
Wow.
If you have academics, seize academics and then add education on top of your academics. And I'll tell you why. There are professors of business administration that can administer nothing. Nada.
Nothing.
Nah. It's so okay, and then like your business administrator professor, but you don't have a business. It does not mean you cannot teach. It just means you will not generate the results of what you're teaching.
That's true.
Because what you have is academics, not education. Education is what guarantees the fruit. Academics helps you with the disciplines, the rigor, which is important, the detail, research, spotting opportunities, identifying sequences, understanding patterns, understanding timelines, progression of human thought. Academics will teach you that. Theory, which is important, right, will teach you that, because what theory does is that theory makes results replicable. That's the major thing theory does. If you understand the theory, you can take resources and then multiply what the theory says. Now, somebody who does not have the theory, he might be able to get the results, but he can't explain.
That's true.
So we need both of them.
Both.
Right? But if you're going to choose one, choose education.
Powerful. My next question is, you made mention of how frustrated you'll be if not making money from your gift. So my question is it okay to bargain on the price people should pay when you are invited to showcase the gift, like for instance, singing?
Yeah.
And if not, what will be said of the person who does that?
All right. So there are 3 S's, but I won't teach those 3 S's that I normally use, but because of time, let me stay focused. One of the major things there is, where are you on your journey? There's some questions you must ask. Where are you on your journey? What's important to you? Sometimes people think the money is everything, but sometimes relationships are superior to revenue.
That's true.
Right? Relationships are superior to revenue. You can get revenue and lose relationships. You can get relationships and lose revenue. Ultimately, if you work hard enough with relationships will bring revenue into your life. But do you have that time? You might not have the time. You're a family man, you have 3 children, you have school fees to pay, you want to prioritize the obligations you have to your house and your family. But if a younger person, which I believe maybe 70 to 80% of those watching this will be in their 20s and their 30s, possibly, then you don't want to get 10,000 naira that costs you 1 million naira. What you want to do first is demonstrate the value of your gift. Solve a problem with it. When somebody gives you, I was telling my wife a couple of days ago that a lot of young people these days, they don't seem to understand the power of an opportunity. An opportunity is so powerful, it can change your life. An opportunity to serve with pastor, an opportunity to work in the choir. It's an opportunity.
Yes, sir.
An opportunity to keep the sanctuary clean.
Yeah.
An opportunity to intern with a business person, to be a driver or the PA or the personal assistant, the executive assistant to a multi-millionaire. These are opportunities that are superior to money.
That's true.
Because you will get access to doors, platforms, stages, insights, experiences that money may never be able to buy. Even people. The money may never be able to buy. So if you're invited, don't think money first, think value first. I went to preach somewhere many years ago, well, maybe 5 years, 6 years ago. And someone told me later, I didn't know. Someone told me later, he said, before you came to minister, Pastor already discussed with the core leadership team about what your honorarium would be. He said, as you were ministering, the pastor said, no, we can't give him this honorarium. We need to increase what we're planning to give it. Now, I would try to say that the Holy Spirit was not involved. What Pastor had thought about before. The Holy Spirit was involved.
Yeah.
But human nature was also involved.
That's true.
Right? But this is I will not always wrestle with man. So in some of the decisions that we think are purely what God has done, some human emotions may have played into our rewards. What am I trying to say? When David killed Goliath, he got things that were not on the reward list that they told him about.
That's true.
He said before he fought Goliath, what will be given to the man who kills his giant? They said, he's going to marry the king's daughter. His family will be exempted from taxes, right?
Yes.
After he killed Goliath, I hope you know he got so much more.
He got a lot more.
Goliath's sword, he got it. Goliath's head, he got it. Goliath's armor, he got it. So after you kill the giant, even things you're not expecting will come to you.
Wow.
So visibility, one, value first. Use visibility as the stage for value. And then before you begin to negotiate and bargain.
So this is my last question. The question someone was asking. He said, you talked about starting little and growing big. Some businesses cannot be started in little ways.
Yeah.
So if you want to strive in it, you just have to start big and blossom. So what's your advice? And the person doesn't have the capacity to start big. And that's what he really wants to do.
I agree and disagree with the person. I disagree because when you look through the Bible and you look through life, you know, the Bible says the invisible attributes of God are made clear by the visible things. Romans 1, right? So look at the stars, the multitude of stars speak about the uniqueness of God and his ability to translate that uniqueness into different expressions of giftings and graces. How do I know? Because when Paul writes in 1 Corinthians 15, it uses the stars to teach. It says there's the glare of the star and the glare of the moon. And the glare of the star differs from the glare of one star differs from that of another. So we see that he's using the stars to teach. Now, why am I saying that? If you say that some things cannot be started small, that means you are possibly saying, God, why didn't you just create the whole forest? Why didn't God just create everything you will ever need to create? But even when he created the sea creatures, because the seas were blossoming and the sky, it wasn't all the fish there would ever be that he made.
That's true.
It was all the fish he needed to make to be able to create all the fish there will ever be. So every fish is older than every man. Water is older than every man. Seeds are old. And it speaks about the tree and says that the trees are fruit-bearing seeds. They are fruit-bearing seeds, right? So why am I saying this? If it's a big business, so for example, shipping or haulage, big-time maritime logistics, oil and gas, big business, let me please advise this person. Don't enter into big business with small knowledge. Otherwise, you will land in big trouble. If you try to do big business with small knowledge, that's big trouble. So what do? If it's a big business you want to enter into, find the smallest, biggest way to do it. What does that mean? So let's say you want to start selling crude, or you know this export business, they're selling cocoa and whatever container. What is the smallest I can start with? So a couple of friends want to bring in maybe 50 or send out 50 containers of cashew nuts or whatever. Don't go and borrow 50 million naira you don't have. Take the 500K that you have and say, let me test the waters with this. Right? Because I've seen people who put 5 million, 10 million, 20 million, 25. I know somebody who put 25 million in a business. She never recovered from it because the business went bad. Well, don't let me say she's never. God is a God of grace and mercy. I pray for her. I'm still praying for her. I'm still praying for her that the Lord will restore. And this is a couple of years, right? You want to be very circumspect. What's the smallest way? Another way is, can you intern in that system? Can you volunteer to work in that system?
You learn it.
You have to learn knowledge. Because money is not the only capital you need, right? You need spiritual capital before financial capital. Otherwise, you can't cap it all.
That's true.
Right? Because, by the way, when you think about cap, what do you think about head? Actually, capital is from the word Latin capitis, which means head. So if you say you have no capital, you're saying you have no head. So that means real capital is head, sense, wisdom.
And what the Bible says, you should buy knowledge.
Buy knowledge, sell it not.
Sell it not. Powerful. So I want to talk about your books here. You have a few books here.